Hello? What's wrong? I was surprised by the sudden phone call from my parents-in-law, and when I answered, my mother-in-law suddenly started shouting.
My daughter and grandchild were hospitalized because of you. How are you going to take responsibility?
What? I had no idea what she was talking about and was just stunned. My name is Scarlett. I'm a 30-year-old office worker. I've been married to my husband Austin for 3 years. We met at a cafe run by my sister-in-law Jasmine. I loved my sister-in-law's cafe and often went there for coffee. Since I often sat at the counter, I naturally talked to my sister-in-law, who was the owner, a lot. And my husband worked for a company near my sister-in-law's cafe, so he often came to the cafe during his work breaks or after work. When I came as a customer, I often sat at the counter and talked to my sister-in-law, so I naturally started talking to him as a regular. Then, little by little, we got closer, and we started going out with my sister-in-law first, then the three of us went out for drinks, and then we started seeing each other alone. And my sister-in-law was very happy when she found out that my husband and I were dating. She was the first to congratulate us when we got married. I never thought I would meet my future partner at a cafe where I became a regular, but I thought that rare things like this can happen in life. I was also liked by my sister-in-law, and since I worked for a company, my parents-in-law were happy to approve of my marriage to my husband. The people in my husband's family, including my sister-in-law, are all very nice people. Even when I went to my parents-in-law's house for the first time after getting married, they welcomed me warmly and were very kind to me.
I heard Scarlett was coming today, so I bought some sweets at the department store. Let's have them with delicious tea.
Thank you very much. My parents-in-law always smile and treat me like their real daughter, and there is no trace of the kind of bullying that we often hear about in-laws. Originally, I was close to my sister-in-law, so we sometimes went out to eat or travel with my husband's family. While getting along well with my husband's family like that, I was living happily with my husband, but one day, something happened that turned those days around. Hello? It was after midnight. Suddenly, my parents-in-law called me. What's wrong? I was surprised by the sudden phone call from my parents-in-law, and when I answered, my mother-in-law suddenly started shouting.
My daughter and grandchild were hospitalized because of you. How are you going to take responsibility?
What? I had no idea what she was talking about and was just stunned. What do you mean? Did Jasmine and her daughter get hospitalized? My sister-in-law is a single mother with a 7-year-old daughter. It seems that my sister-in-law and her daughter were hospitalized with serious injuries. Moreover, my parents-in-law thought it was my fault and were berating me in a very scary voice.
I'll never forgive you. Why did Jasmine and her daughter have to go through this?
My mother-in-law seemed quite flustered, and I had no idea what was going on. Please calm down. Can you explain it to me properly? Even though I said this, my mother-in-law was in a state where her blood was boiling.
How can I calm down? My daughter and grandchild were seriously injured. Why didn't you help them?
My mother-in-law just cried and shouted, and there was no conversation at all. I didn't know what to do, and then the voice on the phone changed to my father-in-law.
Scarlett, do you know what you did? Do you understand how much Jasmine and her daughter are suffering? Fortunately, there were no fatal injuries, but they were seriously injured. Why did you abandon Jasmine and her daughter?
Of course, my father-in-law was angry too, but his voice was a little calmer. So I thought my father-in-law would listen to me properly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you tell me what happened? When I asked him desperately, my father-in-law asked me.
Do you really not know?
After asking me that, he told me the story. I was speechless when I heard it. My sister-in-law lived about a 10-minute walk from my house. and she had been dating a boyfriend for about 6 months, but apparently he had a personality where he couldn't be stopped when he got angry. My parents-in-law had been telling my sister-in-law to break up with him for a long time. But my parents-in-law lived far away, so they couldn't easily go to my sister-in-law's place, and since she ran a shop, my sister-in-law couldn't go back to her parents' house. I had no idea that my sister-in-law had such a boyfriend. My sister-in-law apparently wanted to break up with him, but she didn't want to stimulate him too much, so she couldn't break up with him easily. And today, when her boyfriend came to the house in the evening, he got angry and started throwing things in the house at my sister-in-law and her daughter. My sister-in-law, who felt her life was in danger, quickly left the house with her daughter and ran away. Then she apparently visited our house. But according to my father-in-law, I turned her away.
So my daughter had no choice but to run to her own cafe, but that man came there and broke the window glass to get in. A nearby restaurant worker who heard the loud noise called the police, but my daughter and granddaughter had already been assaulted by that man who had lost his temper. So they were taken to the hospital by ambulance. Why did you turn them away at that time? If you had let them in, my daughter and granddaughter would have been safe.
I was at a loss for words. I wasn't home when my sister-in-law came to visit. Today, I was out drinking with my high school friends. So I didn't talk to my sister-in-law, nor did I meet her. Wait a minute. I didn't meet Jasmine.
Don't lie. Austin told me that you refused to let Jasmine into the house.
What? Austin said that? I was surprised. I couldn't believe my husband was blaming me. Why did he blame me in the first place? Wait a minute. Are you with Austin now?
Of course. He's watching over my daughter, who is still unconscious and looks worried.
Please tell me the hospital. I'll come there too.
No, don't come. We won't be able to stay sane if you come.
That's not true, but I really wasn't home at that time.
Do you have any evidence?
Well, I took a picture with my smartphone when I was drinking with my high school friends. The photo has a timestamp. I think I can prove it if you look at it. When I said that, my father-in-law was silent for a moment.
Okay. Then I'll meet you alone.
So he gave me a chance. We met at a family restaurant near the hospital. When I arrived at the family restaurant, my father-in-law was already sitting at the table drinking coffee. I nervously walked up to his table. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, said I, and my father-in-law gave me a glare before telling me to sit down. I took a seat and ordered coffee as well. Then I quickly prepared my phone and showed my father-in-law a photo. This is a picture I took with my friends today. If you open the details of this photo, you can see the date and time it was taken, I said as I demonstrated. My father-in-law's eyes widened.
Indeed, that time period was when Jasmine visited Austin's house. Are you sure you weren't home at that time? Then why would Austin lie?
I don't know. But it's a fact that I wasn't at home. If I was home at that time, I would have let Jasmine in immediately, I replied. After taking a deep breath, my father-in-law said,
I'm sorry for doubting you. I'll let my wife apologize to you later. First, I'll go to the hospital to hear the truth. Can you wait nearby?
He asked. Okay, I replied. And so my father-in-law and I went to the hospital together. I waited near the hospital room while my father-in-law talked to my mother-in-law and husband.
What excuse did that woman make?
My mother-in-law asked.
Scarlett wasn't home when Jasmine visited. She showed me the evidence.
My father-in-law replied. My mother-in-law gasped in surprise. Then I heard my husband's panicked voice.
Wait a minute, Dad. I was definitely with Scarlett at home at that time. When I asked if I could let my sister in, Scarlett said she didn't want to let them in so late at night and sent them back to the entrance. Scarlett is lying. The photo evidence must have been tampered with.
My husband exclaimed. I couldn't believe my ears. Why was my husband trying to make me the bad guy? Before I knew it, I was inside the hospital room. Why are you lying like that? Austin. I shouted.
Huh? Scarlett, why are you here?
My husband asked.
I called her and asked me to wait. Austin, why are you lying at such an important time?
My father-in-law asked.
Oh. I'm not lying.
My husband stuttered.
You're still trying to cover it up. If Scarlett is really lying, let's go to the restaurant where she went with her friends tomorrow and ask the staff who worked there at that time. If we explain the situation, they'll be happy to help.
My father-in-law said. As soon as my father-in-law said that, my husband's face turned pale. Hey, why did you lie like that? Do you have something to hide from me? I asked.
Huh? No. Of course not.
My husband replied. At that moment, my sister-in-law woke up with a groan.
Jasmine,
Cried my mother-in-law, rushing to my sister-in-law in a panic.
Let's call a doctor right away.
Said my father-in-law, running to the nurse's station. The doctor arrived quickly and checked on my sister-in-law's condition.
If you rest quietly, you'll be fine.
The doctor said, and we were relieved.
thank goodness. Jasmine,
My mother-in-law said, hugging my sister-in-law and crying. My sister-in-law's daughter was unharmed, as my sister-in-law had protected her from the man who had attacked her, and she was sleeping peacefully now. My father-in-law asked us to leave the room so that my sister-in-law would not be stressed.
I'm sorry, but could you leave for a moment?
He said, and my husband and I were forced out of the room. As soon as we left the room, I asked my husband why he had lied to me about not letting my sister-in-law into the house. Why did you tell them that I didn't let my sister-in-law into the house? Why didn't you let Jasmine and her daughter in? I asked. My husband was flustered and couldn't answer my question.
Oh. That's. I'm a little flustered too.
I don't understand, I said. As we talked outside the hospital room, my father-in-law came over to us.
I'm sorry, but could you come back in for a moment?
He said, and we returned to the room. My sister-in-law glared at my husband.
Austin, why didn't you let us into the house?
She asked.
What? Oh, Scarlett was against it.
My husband said.
Don't lie. I heard from Dad. Scarlett wasn't even home at the time. But I saw a woman in the living room. I called out to Scarlett many times, but she didn't respond at all. It must have been a different woman.
My sister-in-law said. I was stunned by her words. What do you mean, Austin? Did you bring another woman into the house while I was gone? Even when I asked him, my husband remained frozen with a blue face.
Austin, explain yourself properly.
My mother-in-law also opened her eyes wide and questioned my husband.
What if you said something?
My father-in-law, who had been calm until a moment ago, also shouted at my husband in anger. Then my husband seemed to have given up and confessed everything. It seems that the person my husband was with at that time was his mistress. So he lied in a hurry because my sister-in-law came. And he said that I refused to let her into the house.
You idiot!
My father-in-law shouted and slapped my husband's cheek.
If you hadn't had an affair, Jasmine and my grandchild wouldn't have been hurt like this.
I'm sorry.
My husband apologized to my sister-in-law and my parents-in-law while prostrating himself.
You should apologize to Scarlett too for having an affair.
My father-in-law was angry like that, and my husband apologized to me in a hurry.
Scarlett, I'm really sorry.
I don't feel any sincerity even if you apologize like that. What you did was the worst thing as a human being. Divorce me right now. My husband seemed to have realized that he had no right to express any opinions anymore. He agreed to divorce quietly. And I demanded compensation from my husband and his mistress. Furthermore, I decided to send my husband to help to clear my sister-in-law's grudge. My husband and his mistress were senior and junior colleagues working at the same company, so I reported everything to the company. Then, in no time, information that my husband rejected his sister who had come seeking help because he was afraid that his affair would be exposed, and as a result, his sister was involved in an incident, spread within the workplace. My husband suddenly became the target of criticism. He has now been transferred to a local area and is living alone without any acquaintances. He is said to be receiving cold stares there too, but he cannot quit his job because he has to pay compensation. On the other hand, my sister-in-law and her daughter were able to recover from their injuries and were discharged from the hospital. The man who was her boyfriend was caught by the police and arrested. Although it was his first offense, he was sent to prison because of the severity of his actions and the fact that he had lashed out violently before. By the way, the reason why my sister-in-law's boyfriend was so angry this time was that he happened to pass by the cafe and saw her talking happily with an old man sitting at the counter. He suspected her of cheating. It's crazy to get so angry that you hurt someone over something like that, and I'm glad he was caught. Although it was a disaster for my sister-in-law, she blamed herself for not having the courage to break up with him. She also deeply regretted putting her daughter in danger. So she decided to return to her parents' house with her daughter. And she decided to open a new cafe in her hometown. Although my sister-in-law is not completely blameless, I think she was more scared after the breakup. I can't completely blame her. For now, I hope that my sister-in-law and her daughter's emotional wounds will heal a little by returning to her parents' house. Also, I'm a big fan of the coffee she makes, so I plan to visit her cafe occasionally on my days off. While drinking my sister-in-law's coffee, I hope to talk to her and be a support for her.
Scarlett's husband is really the worst. It's a problem that her sister-in-law couldn't break up with her boyfriend, but I think it's her husband's responsibility that he didn't help her when she was really in danger. It's unbelievable that he even sent her away to hide his affair. I think Scarlett's husband deserves a heavier punishment. In any case, I'm glad her misunderstanding has been cleared up. I hope Scarlett, her sister-in-law, and her daughter can have happy days from now on.